Hello, BookTube. Cheers, it's Friday. This is Friday Reads. Not something I'm very consistent with, but I'm trying to get a little better at some of this. Been a good week as far as work and family and all that stuff goes, and weather's turning. It's possibly freeze tonight. So garden is done. I think I have a few tomatoes out there I could still pick, but I'm getting a little tired of tomatoes. But, no, we'll pick them, and we do use them. We are looking forward to the weekend. I think we have a cold but bright sunny day tomorrow, and then the rain's on its way back again. So we will see. Hopefully, I have talked to a few of you about the fact that we have experienced some issues with sound. Twice when I recorded at the library, I have a new iPhone, and it's the new model. And it seems like the camera's good, but it seems like there's something either with the microphone or how we do the program to make the videos. We haven't figured it out. This one I'm just recording on my old iPad. Hopefully the sound will be better. If not, I apologize, and we will keep working at it. We never have had problems like that before. We've had volume problems, but not distortion problems. So in the past. So, but this is what happens. You get a new piece of technology, you work through it, right? So we will do our best. A little bit of news and BookTube world. Those of you know Jason Harrigan, a channel and a booktuber I enjoy tremendously. He's taken a bit of a hiatus. He did a video about that, and on his channel it's now called Byways in Bookland. I'll put a link below, so if there's anything going on there, or you wanted to know what was happening with Jason, we'll let him tell you for himself. But yeah, great bookish fella. So for Friday Reads, I have talked before that I am a person who has books going everywhere. So I have some I'm concentrating on now. They're not the only things I'm reading, and they're not books I finished this week. Some of them I'm getting pretty close on. So they're sort of projects. It's the way I like to do things. Just when I left work today, the new New York Review of Books showed up, but I had to get out of there, so I haven't had a chance to look at that. Maybe I'll look at that with you all next week. But the first thing is the third volume in Jefferson's, Dumas Malone's biography of Jefferson. This is Jefferson, The Ordeal of Liberty. This is a reread for me. I've started this year with the first one. Let me see, they have the list of titles here because I can't remember them off the top of my head. Yeah, you have Jefferson, the Virginian, Jefferson in the Rights of Man, and then this is Jefferson in the Ordeal of Liberty. The whole collective biography, which is in 6 volumes, is known as Jefferson and His Time. I read these years and years ago. A lot of what we know about Jefferson, of course, has changed, and a lot of our perspectives on him and his time have changed dramatically since these were written. Dumas Malone's an excellent historian, but he is, like all of us, a product of his time. I do find, I've probably mentioned this on the earlier volumes when I've talked about him, the language can be a little the writing's fantastic, the narrative trajectory's fantastic, the background information, absolutely love it, but the jarring things to a modern sensibility are the treatment of slavery, okay, some of the portraits of the folks around him in government. The portrait of Washington is less than nuanced. Washington has a lot to answer for, good and bad. just like anybody. Yeah, but it just doesn't seem like that, at least thus far in these books, comes across. We just have. I'm at what am I on, page 200. Jefferson's just left Washington's administration, and he's an intensely loyal man to George Washington. And George Washington did inspire that in his colleagues. But the real jarring thing isn't that as much. It's the language about slavery. And it's hard to tell when he says Jefferson brought a servant. Well, was it a servant? And he did have servants. He had a Frenchman who came over and was, I think, a chef and all that sort of thing. And when is the person a slave, which is different than a servant? And what is the relationship on the Monticello with the slaves? What's the relationship in Charlottesville or Washington, D.C., Albemarle County? It's hard to really know what's really going on sometimes. As a modern person, you look at it and go, okay, I think some of this may be being idealized. I'm not sure that's fair yet. Like I say, I haven't read this in 30 years probably. That's a very rough guess. But, yeah, I do find myself being pulled out of the narrative sometimes because of that. But many things about Jefferson I admire, and many things because he was human that aren't so admirable. But very, very interesting read about a very important person. But again, it is of its time. These used to be like the 6-volume set. They have a sort of a consistent look to them. Were often, for those of you of an age, they were often part of what your bonus, I guess you'd call it, when you signed up for Book of the Month Club. Do you get these, or you might get Will and Ariel Durant did the Story of Civilization, that big set you might get, or I'm trying to think of some of the others. So these are not hard to find. Sometimes getting the whole set of them that go together is, but it's very doable. And so far worthwhile. The other thing here, for Victober, I'm reading John Ruskin, The Stones of Venice, in this beautiful Folio Society edition. I am on page 9. Well, I've read more than 9 pages, as you can tell. The introduction and the preface are all numbered in Roman numerals in 2 separate schemes. So I'm on the part where Ruskin has just started, and it's called The Quarry. And he's in Venice, and he is he's laying the groundwork for his narrative. That was the start of the chapter. So this is for Victober. I just started it, already enjoying it, and it was something I wanted to get to. So I'm pretty happy with that. Then something I've been reading for quite a while. I'm starting to wind down a bit. This has been great fun. And this is Boswell's London Journal, 1762 to 1763, edited by Frederick Pottle, McGraw-Hill. A lot of you have been with me on this journey because I've been reading it for a while. But I do that a lot. I leave things around. And here's the end papers in London. It's interesting, the language, obviously some of his actions are interesting, and you wonder why he would record that his behavior is not only questionable then, it's being questionable now. But I don't know, it's just a really, it takes you into a different time. His language takes you into a different time. 1760s London, very interesting place. Cast of characters that many of them, the footnotes help. Pottle's footnotes help put these people in their place. But in their day, they were as famous as anybody is famous today. And so that, that's fleeting, and so they would have all been shocked that perhaps that Boswell is better known than they are. But he was of high birth, Scottish birth and all that. So I'm on, let's see what page, page 259, and I've got maybe 80 pages left to go in this thing. I probably will try to finish it early this weekend, although I'm in no hurry. Then I also spoke to many of you. This has come up during the shelf tours a couple times. I'm reading Harold Bloom. This was this year. This is Possessed by Memory, The Inward Light of Criticism. Very, very sad in some ways because he's at that point in life, but really eye-opening. I'm reading some of the stuff on Tennyson now. What page am I on in this? That way you'll be able to call me out if I don't get anything done next week. I'm on page 277, and what are we at? We've got, looks like about 510 pages. I like that the chapters tend to be short, tend to be filled with quotations, so on some of the chapters it's Harold Bloom because he's choosing things and he's making comments here and there, but some of these chapters can be a little light on that. Others are heavier. So I am glad I'm reading it. I'm a fan of his. He's a type of reader and the type of thinker that I enjoy. Not everybody likes him, but I do. So this weekend we'll try to work on some of these. I'll try, and my wife will try to figure out some of the sound issues. Maybe I just can't record at the library anymore. I don't know. I do enjoy doing it because I get some quiet time there. So yeah, Victober, we'll work through that. I've got another book. I probably won't start the Wallace journalism book on the Victorian era until I'm about halfway through the Ruskin. I think that's safe to do. If I can be, well, we're already at the end of our first week, right, in October, so I better get on the stick and get working. But yeah, that's what I'm reading. So I hope you're all doing well, and we will be in touch. Thank you, BookTube.